Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to DSP versus the Internet. This is part 5 of 6 for September 17th, 2023. We've already had a good variety of videos and we're in the midst of watching the standard member submissions. But we have to take the time to answer 2 questions here from super members of the channel. Let's see what people have on their minds this week. It's kind of interesting, but at the same time, you'll see why we're not going to spend too much time on it, all right? First of all, the first question. Ready? I'm just going to read them all, and then I'm going to answer them all. You get offered $20 million, but for the rest of your life, there's a snail that is invincible and kills you by touching you. If it follows you trying to kill you, it can board a plane after you. You don't know its initial location. Would you accept the offer? Question number 2 from the same person. If you won a lottery worth $30 million, but your mother goes blind in her left eye and eye surgery costs $29 million, what do you do? Question number 3. You're near train tracks with a runaway trolley heading for 5 people tied up on the track. You can pull a lever to divert the trolley to another track, saving those 5, but it will cause it to hit 1 person tied up there. Do you pull the lever to do nothing, allowing the trolley to hit the 5 people? What do you do? Okay? What you've attempted to do is set up dilemma-style questions that would judge things like psychology. It would try to prove someone's psyche or what kind of a person they are, all right? First of all, I don't deal with these kind of questions. Do you want to know why? Because they're bullshit. These are insane hypotheticals that would never happen. There's no such thing as an invincible snail that follows you around the planet and will kill you. Okay? This just doesn't happen. There's no such thing as you're going to get gifted $30 million out of nowhere, but you have to spend $29 million to save your mother's eyesight. There's no operation on the planet that costs $29 million, just so you know. Okay? So these are ridiculous questions that have no merit whatsoever. All right? So I'll give you a funny answer. If you want an answer to the first question about the invincible snail that follows you around and instantly kills you if it touches you, all you got to do is watch the movie It Follows, and you will answer that question. Absolutely not. Keep your money. Stay the fuck away from me. Okay? It Follows is a pretty unique and scary horror movie, to say the least. Give it a look if you haven't yet. I think you'll enjoy it if you like really unique horror. It actually scared me because of certain scenes in the movie that were shocking cinematography. I thought it was done really, really well. However, these are 3 bullshit questions. I would never be faced with these situations in life. I mean, even the third question, which is supposed to be a question of morality. Do you save 5 people, but you know you're killing 1? These are things that there are no definitively right or wrong answers. And quite frankly, a human put into that situation might actually act completely differently in one situation or another, right? Like, for example, that question about the train tracks. Think of it this way. If you switch the tracks, 1 person dies. If you leave the tracks the way they are, 5 people might die, but you don't know if they will or not. It's a maybe. But if you do nothing, you didn't impact the situation at all because you weren't involved, right? So 1 person might just say, I just don't want to be involved at all. I didn't set up the situation. I don't want to be responsible for shit. I'm walking away. There's perfectly valid answers to those questions. I'm not going to sit here and microanalyze and give you crazy answers. The truth is, I don't play in hypotheticals because it's bullshit that's not real and it doesn't exist, so I'm not answering because it's a waste of my time. The next question. This one's going to blow you guys away. You ready for this? Here we go. Listen to this question, everyone. I swear to you, you're going to be like, what in the hell is going on? Here we go. Do you think incest can be morally neutral? Why or why not? The main objection towards incest is birth deformities. What about same-sex relationships? What would be the objection there? You can't say it's weird or gross because that would be an objection towards emotion and not logic. You can't say it's wrong because society says it's wrong. You can't appeal to society because society gets things wrong all the time, like gay marriages. You can't say society has progressed and evolved from incest because society's progress doesn't inherently determine moral neutrality. Moral assessments are typically based on potential harm or consent. So what exactly is wrong with 2 18-year-old brothers or sisters having a sexual relationship, assuming there is no power dynamics that are at play? Yes, someone actually is trying to ask me, a random game streamer on YouTube, this question, and expecting that I'm going to have an intelligent answer. All right? However, are you ready for this? Here is my quick take on it. All right? It's this simple. On this planet Earth, you can do whatever you want. There's no one out there that can stop your action. What they can stop is the consequences to your action. Do you understand? So, excuse me, what they can do is have consequences for your actions, what I meant to say. you can have any relationship you want on earth. You could be in love with your brother or sister. You could be in love with a rock. You could be in love with an elephant. You do whatever you want, right? But then you have to live with the consequences, correct? And I think that's what a lot of people have issues with, is they don't understand how consequences work in life. So they think, is there free will? Is there not? Is there this? Is there that? Well, in life, you have to live with consequences of what you do, correct? Personally, for me, if you're saying you're looking for a romantic partner on this planet, correct? Does it not make more sense to find a romantic partner of someone out there who you have not spent a significant amount of time of your life with, but you find someone who's the right person, and you have that time period where you get to know them better, you find out what your similarities are, what your differences are, you essentially find that one in a million who's right for you. Now, even that statement may be an over-exaggeration, because in reality, do you really think that everyone who falls in love is one in a million? Probably not. Probably, you know, it's people who they find someone who they get along with, and then they want to spend the rest of their life with, because they get along and they support each other and they love each other, etc., etc. It's probably not a one in a million thing, correct? However, when it comes to who on earth are we going to be romantic with, if you're someone you've already grown up with, someone who spent a significant amount of your time with, a brother, a sister, a family member already, right? Doesn't really have much meaning, does it? In my opinion, like, that doesn't make any sense to me. Like, of all the people who I'd want to spend the rest of my life with, it's not the people I spent my young years with. You know what I mean? Like, listen, I love my family, but for me to have a romantic relationship with someone for the rest of my life, I want to have someone who I went out there and I found someone who was meaningful to spend time with, who isn't me or isn't part of that core family that I've already have been forced to be with. Do you understand? Like, that's romance, is you find someone out there who you really connect with, but you've been through different life experiences. You've been through different things. Your brother and sister, you have not been, you're living in the same house. You've essentially had the same life, right? Especially your formative years. That doesn't make any sense to me at all, that people would want to be with someone who's a family member or anything like that. If anything, listen, do you like to get together with your family around the holidays or for special events or whatever? Keep them close. Sure, you care about them. You love them, a platonic love of your family. But I wouldn't ever romantically fall in love with someone I was growing up with as a family member. That just, it doesn't even, that whole idea of romantic love doesn't make sense to me. It's not the same. You see what I mean? I don't think it is the same. Perhaps people are misunderstanding what it is, what romance even is, romantic love. That could be what it is. If that's the only kind of love and affection you've ever felt in your life was from your direct family members, then maybe that's why you have messed up thoughts in your head about romance. You know what I mean? And maybe some people, sadly, that's been their whole life. And they don't have a better situation. They don't understand what it means to actually romantically be in love with someone. For me, I want, me and my wife, we come from totally different backgrounds. We do. And that's an amazing thing, that we bring our own life experiences into the relationship we have together to make a unique union. It's those different experiences that allow us to become almost a whole that works together. If we were people who grew up in the same situation, the same house, the same everything, you're two of the same person. How is that anything that's meaningful? You know what I'm saying? So, very simply put, it's, it has nothing to do with societal norms. It has to do with the whole notion of what romance really should be, or what it is. That's my take on it. But the thing is, you can do whatever you want. In life, you could have romance with anything. You could have romance with this Xbox 3 controller right now, if you really wanted to. I don't think anyone's going to stop you. But does it really have meaning? That's the real question. Okay. All right. I bet that they thought it was going to be really stupid. My answer, I tried to at least give you a decent answer for that, okay? All right. Let's now get back to the videos and reacting to the videos at hand, shall we? All right, let's continue. Here we go.
YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, HMA Dan drops back in with another super official review, King Digger, baby. Hey, listen, man. YouTuber Zedar25 hit me up in the comment section below, like y'all should be doing, and was like, hey man, what I need for you to do, Big Dame, is slide down to Five Guys Burgers and Fries and get yourself that double cheeseburger, player.
Oh my God, did this guy overact or what? He's completely over the top with his mannerisms. By the way, this is a very old video, 12 years old, so it's a super old food review.
Oh, shoot. There is a Five Guys Burgers and Fries out where I live in Connecticut. Let me slide to the spot.
This guy lives in Connecticut. I wasn't aware of Five Guys in Connecticut. Where I lived anyway, there were none at the time.
Oh, that was ghetto, that. Look at the bag that they give you your food in, man. Let's start there. There's nothing on the bag whatsoever. It's a very plain bag filled with a couple grease stains, letting you know how official.
It's always like that because their fries are in peanut oil, so they're actually very greasy, but there's a different kind of oil than the standard fry oil.
And fat.
They also fill your bag with loose fries, which is why it's like that.
Food is for you, baby. But then they give it to you in like a half a ghetto grocery bag, man. Like, when was the last time you seen a ghetto grocery bag? For some of us that are, 30 plus, last time we seen the ghetto grocery bag, we were copping these at Stop and Shop and putting them on our school books, you dig? But
I used to do that. I used to make my book covers out of that. Absolutely.
I wish you could smell what I'm smelling, you too. Oh boy. All right, listen. Let me get up in here.
I get why people like this guy. He's very charismatic. And he overacts, but his overacting is kind of funny. It's kind of cool.
I gotta dig past the fries. No, I'm not even digging past the fries. Let me light one of these joints on fire. You too.
The peanut oil French fry. There it is.
Game on the fry, okay? Now, we all know how the lens works. That's why I'm all dark and crispity back up in here. But let's focus in on the fry. Let's hone in on the crispity crunch of that French fry. You bite the fry bites back. That's when you know you have an official French fry. Bang!
Really? Derek says he was from Stratford. There was no Five Guys in Stratford. I used to live in Stratford, Connecticut. So he must have went out of his way. Maybe he went to, like, Milford or Orange, like, further out that way. Maybe there was a Five Guys out there. But there was none near me when I lived in Stratford. And I lived there till 2014. And this video is older than that.
Bang! Hit me back one time. Just the right amount of salt, too. Ooh.
This is probably why he's eating in the car. Because if he took this back to his house, which is probably further away. By the way, I'm being told I have to skip this. I'm not even shitting you. It says, we've detected content in your stream that belongs to someone else. I can't watch the rest of the food review. Can you believe that? I can't watch the rest of the food review. It got claimed on YouTube. What the hell? That's wild that video just got claimed and I can't watch his food review and react to it. Because I was going to say, he's kind of smart. It looks like he drove out of his way to go to Five Guys, but instead of bringing the food home when it would have been cold and nasty, he's eating it in the car with a good camera, so he did it well. I think that was actually a good video, a good review. But sadly, as you can see, we can't even watch it. What the frick, man? That's bullshit. All right, well, let's watch a little bit of this video before we split the part. 10 kinds of people to never trust. All right, let's see what this is.
A person's trust.
Let's skip right ahead. Here we go.
Ways to get into trouble and accumulate disappointments. In this video, we'll see 10 types of people we should keep well away from.
All right.
Number 1. People who only talk about themselves.
Huh.
People who are
They never ask you about you and how you're doing, and they don't want to hear about you or what's going on with you. They only want to talk about their own situations. Interesting.
Self-centered become boring after a while, and to be honest...
Really? Radical Jaw says he thinks the reason that food review got claimed, he says someone did a remix of the video and made a song out of it and put it on iTunes and sold it. Yeah. So basically, it might be that video has parts that are detected as a music video, and that's why it gets claimed. That's ridiculous. Okay.
They're most likely not even interested in you. A conversation should involve both parties and not be one way.
That's right.
Knowing how to listen is an integral part of a conversation. Therefore, if you're dealing with an egocentric and narcissistic person who thinks only about himself, my advice is to stay away from them and dedicate this time to those who are genuinely interested in you. Number 2.
Okay.
Passive-aggressive people.
Passive aggression is really annoying. Really annoying. Because, there's people who are pissed at you, but they won't outright say it. You know what I mean? Or they'll do things underhanded, and you only find out about it later. It's like, why wouldn't you have the balls to just say something to me that you had a problem? Passive aggression, that's a real big pet peeve of mine.
Recognizing a passive-aggressive personality is not always easy. In fact, those suffering from this disorder could present themselves in a charismatic, seductive, and affable way, with a peculiar sense of irony and sarcasm. However, it takes time to understand more deeply the dynamics of this personality. And
right, and that's true too. They could sound, oh, I'm just being sarcastic. I don't mean it. But then next thing you know, they actually were meaning it. And you thought that they were just joking, but in reality, they have a problem with you. But you didn't know that. I hate that shit.
You recognize these people, keep away from them for your own good.
Because that's the thing, like sometimes people will be teasing to you or whatever, and because they're joking, they think it's funny, and or it's a way of them actually breaking the ice and being friendly with you. But others are serious, and then you can't really tell what the hell's going on.
Passive-aggressive individuals can be recognized through various behaviors such as prolonged silence, victimhood, or closure. These are just some of the main characteristics of passive-aggressive people.
Oh, this guy's speed drawing,
A typical phrase you'd hear from a passive-aggressive person is, "I don't mean to offend you, but..."
Yeah, I don't mean to offend you, but here's something offensive, right? Well, then what's... Just because you said before it, I don't mean to offend, doesn't mean it doesn't. So what's the point of even saying that, right? It doesn't protect you from the repercussions of what you're about to say.
Number 3. Gossipy people.
Oh boy.
Rest assured, if someone talks badly about other people around you, the time will most definitely come when this person will talk badly about you to someone else.
Yep.
And I'm not referring to those who occasionally may have criticized a common acquaintance in the midst of a conversation, but rather to those serial bad-mouthers who have made a lifestyle out of knocking others down. And in the workplace specifically, always remember, do not gossip about a colleague or boss behind their back. Don't listen to those who do gossip about colleagues or bosses behind their backs, and don't allow yourself to be the one who's the subject of gossip behind your back. In short, gossip never brings anything good, because gossiping is a toxic behavior.
Yep. Oh yeah, it's terrible. And the thing is, seriously, how many people on YouTube today are incredibly popular and all they do is gossip, but they're under the guise of things like news or commentary. Oh no, this is meaningful. This is a news story. This is my commentary. No, it's gossip. It's just bullshit. It could literally be made up, but what you're saying is incredibly harmful. But you don't care because you got views today and you made money. This was your day, right? It's pretty messed up that people just make their entire livelihood and living off of this kind of stuff.
Number 4. People who speak ill of their ex-partner.
That's a,
This
you know
point
what,
is-
I'll agree there that that's kind of a really big one, that it's hard in a lot of cases to not want to be truthful or honest or transparent, but at the same time, it's kind of respectful, right? It's respectful to basically not go out of your way, especially if, for example, you know, and yes, I'm going to talk about my own personal case. I don't have any contact whatsoever with any ex-partners at all. I don't. All my ex-partners, we moved on with our lives, and we have not had contact further at all. So I wish them all the best, right? But I'm happy that they never came back with like giant, you know, slanderous things against me, just like I have never done that against them, because there's no point to doing that. You understand? Like, who cares? That's the past is the past. So why are you going to harp on the past? Why do you have to keep bringing it up? And especially it's bad when people try to do that to make themselves look good. Like bring up something from the past, like distant past, because it makes you look good because your ex was this or that. I really don't like that at all. That shows a lot of immaturity, basically.
Somewhat related to the previous one. The funny thing is that people who speak ill of their ex with their current partner believe they're doing the right thing, but instead, they're doing just the opposite. After all, what can their current partner expect from them in the future if for some reason their relationship should end? Probably to be made fun of within a group of mutual friends, if not worse. Keep your opinions about your exes to yourself and respect your partner for doing the same. Being together does not necessarily mean sharing everything.
For someone public like me, it's even harder because, you know, some of my relationships have been public. And then you have to, after the fact, right? Things happening, people want to know, well, what happened there? What's this? What's that? No, there's no point in bringing that stuff up at all. That's not anyone's business. There's no reason to go retread the past. I mean, yes, there's even people who've been on camera and stuff with me, you know, and that's not going to change. Those videos are not going to be deleted from the internet. But at the same time, the past is the past. You don't keep going on talking about it and then also dragging people through the mud. You know what I mean? How long is this? I still got like 5 more minutes. And I was looking to split the part within the next 5 minutes. All right, let's see.
Number 5. Pathological liars. There isn't much to say here, but I couldn't
People who
omit-
just constantly can't stop lying. I knew a couple of people like that. I had a friend when I was a kid who, like, he would tell the tallest tales. And I was like, why are you, like, I know what you're saying is fake. I know what you're saying is so ridiculous. There's no way it could be possibly be true. But he would tell everyone these tall tales for no reason. I guess he felt like that's how he fit in, is because he would always tell a really big, tall tale or something. You know what I'm saying? But he was always like that. He always wanted to completely make something up out of nowhere.
this profile from the list. I don't have to explain why trusting a pathological liar isn't a great idea,
I
right?
climbed Mount Everest.
But how do you recognize this type of person? It's quite simple. Usually, when pathological liars tell a story, they're either the heroes or the victims of pretty much any situation.
It always seems like it's too, the story is too exaggerated to be true, and there's some kind of giant embellishment in it.
They're easy to spot, as they really tend to over-magnify everything every time they share a story. What makes us anxious about them is that they're so good at telling these
He
lies.
spelled imagination wrong. He spelled imagination with 2 M's. Oops. Sorry, I didn't mean to proofread your video.
That they end up believing it themselves. And if you're not careful, you risk ending up believing them too. Number 6. People
Is this another troll vid? Only for people who are my trolls. Literally. Only if you want to say that every single thing that I do is wrong, then you would say I have all of these, right? But that's the only thing. And these are just common things, and absolutely this is a perfectly valid video. But only assholes would say things like, "Oh, this is all about Phil. It's a troll video about Phil." No, it's not. Not at all. You're just an idiot if you think that.
who flirt too much. There's a difference between being nice and flirting. And there's a difference between flirting in an elegant way at the right time and within certain limits, making sure that the person in front of you feels comfortable. There's
Wow.
also
Yeah, you
an
don't say that at
inappropriate way to
work.
flirt. Doing it in a shameless way, or even worse, vulgarly, without respecting certain boundaries. Stay away from people who tend to flirt too much, despite making it clear that you're not interested. Number 7. People who don't respect you. If someone takes disrespectful attitudes toward you, even if it's someone you love or particularly care about, stop justifying and forgiving them every time. Perhaps your husband or wife has had a bad day at work and responds with bad manners to you during a conversation. Once in a while, this may happen. But if this is a regular occurrence, then their behavior is absolutely out of line and they must learn to manage themselves better.
Sadly, I have known people like that. And yes, people close to me have been like that to me over my lifetime. And it's sad because it's like, as easy as you like to say, well, just shut that person out. Well, what if it is someone who's like a close family member or a loved one, and now you can't, right? I mean, what do? Do you address the elephant in the room and tell them this is not how I should be treated? Why are you doing that? Because then what if it just exacerbates the situation even worse? It's a tough position to be in, especially if it is a loved one, for sure.
Without discharging their frustrations on you or whomever they're in contact with. Be understanding, but understand what's going on and stay away from those who don't respect you.
By the way, isn't it funny that finally D-Tractor or Tractor D got banned earlier and got exposed for who they really were, and now they're coming in with all these clone accounts to insult me and my family? They've had like 20 so far that I've banned. They keep coming back. It's the same person. They think I don't know it. I can tell. They're a fucking idiot. What a loser.
Number 8. People who always know more than you do. Do you have a problem at work? Do you have a problem at work? Well, rest assured that these people will always have a bigger problem than you do. Do you have a date with a beautiful woman or a handsome man? Rest assured that they will have a date with an even more beautiful woman or an even more handsome man. Have you traveled to the moon? Don't get too excited. They've already been to Mars.
They always have to one-up you. A person who always has to one-up anything you say or any achievement you've had, they've always had to do one better to prove that they were the better person. Yep. Oh, I know. Sadly, I've also know the opposite, where even if, for example, you maybe do know better than someone, because they always know more than you do. If you know better than them, they completely discount what you know better than them. And they won't believe you or won't even listen to you. I've known people like that too. They just have this crazy superiority complex over you. So no matter what, they will never listen to advice. They don't want to listen to facts you deliver to them. To them, that's no. I don't know that. I didn't discover that. You know what I mean? So I don't know what you're talking about. I've known people like that too.
Just a tip. Do not waste time telling your stories to these people, for they are not even listening to you. They're simply thinking about their next personal incredible adventure to share with you, and that will certainly be more exciting than yours.
That's great.
Number 9. People who fall in love too quickly. Here we go into dangerous territory when it comes to relationships.
Sure.
This is a delicate point, as it's not always set in stone.
Yeah, it was actually funny because my wife and I have been watching House Hunters recently as just one of the random reality shows that's on Max now, the Max app. And you got people like, yeah, so we've been dating for like 8 months and we're buying a house together. Wait, you're what? You're huh? You're doing hi? You do realize that a house is an insanely huge commitment. You're putting both your names on a mortgage, a financial obligation. You haven't even been together for a year yet, and you're doing this crazy, insanely 30-year commitment on a mortgage. Are you nuts? You're not even married. You know what I mean? You don't have kids, and you're going to get a house? Like, what is going on here? And there are, sadly, people who are just like that. They jump into something so ridiculously fast, and they commit to it so ridiculously fast, you know? It's just nuts.
However,
Here's the risk of this. You may be in a situation where you get along with someone, but when you actually get to a situation where things are different or rough, then you find out that you actually are not as compatible as you thought you were. And I can speak to that from life experience. You know what I'm saying? You may be in a situation where you really get along with someone, and the next thing you know, it wasn't meant to be because you never really had adversity. The moment that you get thrown against the rocks and there's adversity in your life, now you start to realize that you actually don't get along with that person as well as you thought. Now imagine you made all kinds of crazy decisions and stuff, right? Based off of that, because you fell in love too early or whatever. You know what I mean? That would not be good. So I'm just speaking from experience here. Yeah, guys, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm looking for another fake account and I don't see it. Let's hit play here. I don't see it.
In most cases, don't trust those who say I love you too quickly. Mind you, unlike the profiles discussed in the previous points, these are not bad people. Most likely, they genuinely believe they are in love. But at the same time, be careful not to trust them too much if you don't want to risk getting hurt. A person who has a tendency to fall in love too quickly is often an emotional and impulsive person, and in many cases insecure and in search of validation.
True.
The problem is that in the same way he falls in love quickly, he could just as quickly change his mind and leave. Often,
what you got to realize, again, the real measure of a person is not who they are when they're at their highest, but when they're at their lowest. And you need to see someone at their lowest to judge if you really love them or not. That's my take anyway.
These types of people are dramatic and attention-seeking. So pay close attention to those who declare their love for you too quickly, especially if at a young age and without much previous experience. As I said before, there are exceptions to this rule, and some of these relationships then turn into beautiful long-term love stories. But it's still something you want to pay attention to. Number 10. People with no sense of humor.
Wow. No sense of humor at all?
I left this point for last. But as far as I'm concerned, it could easily go to first place.
I think the most annoying person in this situation would be someone who just absolutely positively refuses to laugh at themselves and their own shortcomings. Like, in their mind, they're perfectly perfect, so you can't ever joke with them because if you do, I'm so offended you said that. What are you talking about, right? In life, you got to laugh and joke around and have a good, looser sense of existence, and not everything is so ultra serious. How dare you make fun of me or whatever? You know what I mean? Like, everyone should be happy to at least have a joke at someone else's expense, and that's the thing. If everyone takes it as a joke, it's fine. It's one thing if someone's railing on you. It's another thing if someone's just joking around, right? All right, I think it's time to split the part at this point. Thank you all for watching. We have one part left of DSP versus the Internet for episode 31. I hope to see you for it. See you then.